And we are back here once again with another episode of the MSK Show, and this is going to be episode 45. And in this episode of the MSK Show, I'm going to be having a conversation with content creator Frost Comics, actually. So, as you guys know, Frost appeared a lot on my Iron Man podcast, actually. But as you guys know, like Marvel Comics and like DC Comics, I had to retcon that podcast. I had to basically reboot to an issue number one. Mostly because, as everyone knows, I had it only synced up through Rumble because I didn't think I was able to come back on YouTube after my first channel that was really big got taken down. And once I discovered that I could, I was like, oh, okay, I essentially made a mistake. I should have seen that I was allowed to come back. So I essentially did a 600 episode show, and then the last 100 episodes of that show are on this channel. But I was like, you know what? Best to just reboot, start from the beginning, because I kind of messed up badly with it. And there's a lot of great episodes there too. So if anyone does ever want to go seek them out, they're on Rumble. They're all numbered 1 through 600. The last 100 episodes were on here, so you saw what good we were doing. The problem here is like, well, if it's on Rumble, people aren't going to really care about it right now. And
true.
I would have to have them. I'd have all the shows synced up from episode 1, where you can start from a beginning all the way up, just like a comic book. Well, that doesn't really matter for comics now if they're numbered between volume ones, because there's some bullshit happening with that too. So I essentially retconned all your appearances, and now you're back here again. So
it's like Frost Comics Rebirth, right?
Essentially, a new or you could be Dawn of Frost Comics. There you go.
I like it. Yeah, that's good.
All like back to number one. So if the views start going down badly, we're just go back to number one. So Marvel does
just reboot it again.
So we'll start here, since this is your first appearance on this show. How was your life growing up, actually, man?
My life growing up was good. I had a pretty damn good life, honestly. I had a lot of friends who were a lot less fortunate. A lot of them I knew through school or social things like church, different clubs and stuff, organizations. So it's not like I was unfamiliar with it, but I or illnesses or things like that. So the fact that I was able to grow up with that and with a stable family was a tremendous blessing. So I had a really good upbringing.
Yeah. And then after public school, because you went to public school, right?
I did for a couple of years. Yeah. And I did some homeschool, college. I ended up graduating, but my degree really didn't suit my career paths. I actually have a degree in mass communication, which doesn't actually help me with anything that I do now. Mass communication could have helped me, but there's different disciplines or fields within mass communication that's broken down into things like marketing. That could have helped me. Didn't take marketing. Electronic communication, that could help me. Didn't take electronic communication. No, I took journalism, the worst, most worthless thing that you can take in mass communication. But the thing is that I didn't really want. So the reason I took journalism, there was a reason, is because I wanted to do video game journalism, because I love video games. It's probably my favorite form of media, honestly, because it's interactive storytelling. So I love it.
So it probably sucks you see the way it came to right now with everything that's involved with gaming.
Yeah. So, well, the problem, and this is still kind of the case, back then, the only way you could really get into game journalism is if you knew somebody, and you only really got to know people by living on the West Coast. I didn't really want to move to the West Coast. I liked my state. I live in Tennessee, and I really like Tennessee, and I really like being close to family, and I really like being where I am, So I didn't really feel like upending that to go pursue game journalism of all things. So didn't really do anything for me. And I just kind of ended up.
So you essentially have a useless degree by what?
Oh, it's completely useless. Yeah, it's completely the best web comic I ever saw was like the perfect summary of my degree, where the guy takes his degree and he goes back to college and he says, I'd like to return this. Cash is fine. Yeah, that would be great if I could return that. It's unused. It's still basically new in box. Can I give it back and just get the money back? No, I can't do that.
Yeah. All sales are final when it comes to those kind
unfortunately,
of things. Yes. Whether you remember the information or not. Also,
there's like 2 classes. There were 2 classes in 4 years that I was like, man, I'm really learning something here. but that was about it. I enjoyed a couple of them. There was one journalism class. Well, it
Mhm,
wasn't journalism, but it was kind of in that branch. But we actually did reviews, and
mhm.
it was we did 2 movie reviews, and then it was like freestyle, and we got to review whatever we wanted. So I picked video games, and I got to review Persona 3 for a college professor, and I had so much fun writing it because I was thinking as I was writing it, he's not going to understand any of the shit I'm talking about. So
Yeah,
I actually made him a glossary of terms so he could look up when I say gameplay, like the definition of gameplay. When I say,
yeah. I think he's still there,
and
guys.
I enjoyed that class quite a bit just because of the novelty of it.
Okay. So after that, you ended up getting married later on down the road and having some kids. So you went and did the American dream. You have a house, a
Yeah.
wife, and some kids, and a white picket fence. At least in
Well,
Kamal's
my
economy.
fence is not white, but it's at least a nice wooden shade at least. But it is a nice fence, yeah. But yeah, no, life is good. It took a while to get here. I'm not gonna. I didn't get here quickly. So
Yeah.
if anyone is, because I I'm in my late 30s now, and it took me until my early to mid 30s to really get everything in order. And it took me a while to figure out as a man, and I take responsibility for this, but I also kind of point to culture. um, Being a millennial, I feel like millennials kind of grew up in a culture where manhood and masculinity and like men understanding the importance of having assets to offer to women to build a home and a family with. Like I didn't really grasp that until I was in my 30s, and I think
Mhm.
that's a shame because if men did understand that, then they would prioritize building something to be able to offer women to build something with. And for a really long time I was just a typical millennial. I was just thinking, oh, we'll just do it together. She'll work and I'll work, and there was no real planning involved in
See,
it at all.
I'm glad you bring that up because so many people don't grasp that as a concept. I realized that as you got older, if your mind did not legitimately expand based off everyday life situations you go through, all the things you've previously known, I feel like if your mind never expands and stuff, you just get stuck in a rut. And I
Yeah.
realized like people such as like Andrew Tate
Mhm.
are controversial in their own way, but it's those things that I like that he brings up because average people don't get their brains wrapped around that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be mean to people here. I'm not trying to, and I love being mean to women, as you know. Women have an easier time going through stuff than guys. It's
Yeah.
just because they expect guys are supposed to just know that stuff. You're supposed to
Yeah.
just do all these things. But in upbringing in public school, I can tell you how many useless things public schools teaches people. I learned more
Yeah.
stuff probably 2 years after after graduating high school than actually
Yeah.
being in school. I think I've just learned more. Like, is school just a waste of time? Because it sure doesn't make you become a better man. It makes you basically what, like fucking shit. Makes you just
Well,
what, show
it's
up on
like
time.
when
That's it.
like in college, I said there were like 2 classes, but the 2 classes that taught me stuff were the things that I actually wanted to learn. Because like college
Yeah,
is just it's just like every other type of school. Like you go there and they decide that you need to know this. I don't need to know a shred of mathematics to do journalism. I really don't. I don't need to know anything about biology or
yeah.
geography. None of that is going to help me in my field. Now, if you want to be a geologist journalist, if you want to have that field, if
Mhm.
you can narrow that down, okay, sure. Like there are some people who have to study, like if you're going into like law, then you do need to study a specific field of law, and you need to study that particular field to an extent so that you can understand the law a little bit
Yeah.
more intimately. But like if you're not going into that, then most of the stuff that they teach you is trash. So like I started doing game reviews for game packs, and they're probably still up there back when I was a teenager. So
It's
I
a
taught
old ass
myself.
website. Holy
Right.
shit.
Right. That's how old school my love of video game journalism was back then, right? Before all the clusterfuck that happened now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't compete with Kotaku now. Obviously, you can't.
No,
You
yeah, no,
know.
that's yeah, that dream, they killed that dream before I gave up on it actually. So they were like, yeah, no. No, but I taught myself how to do that by
Mhm.
reading, reviews and writing reviews and getting feedback from people and just refining how I did it. That I didn't learn that in school. I taught it to myself. It wasn't like college taught me how to review stuff. So
Mhm.
that was like, like I said, there were 2 classes that were genuinely useful. And that was about it. And the rest, it was just going through the hoops and saying, yes, I do know how to do this thing that I taught myself how to do, and I do know how to do this useless thing that you feel like I need to know for some reason. So give me a piece of paper, please.
Yeah, I guess the only thing mathematical that you would need is if you were like basically doing articles on like movies and games to calculate how much money they would need to make. But the difference here that no one ever realizes when it comes to journalism, when it comes to video games, is no one actually really ever talks about like how much a game needs to make. If the game makes a lot of money for the studio, they'll brag about that. But
yeah,
I noticed for movies, they'll put up predictions like, well, this movie has to make like this much money to break even, this much money to make a profit. And even that's changed over the years too, because before these numbers were like very obscure because people that wanted access didn't overtly say how much a movie needs to make because they didn't want to be the person to predict it would fail because they didn't need their access. I noticed that with video games, no one does articles like, well, Black Myth Wukong needs to make this much money to be a success, right? Because in business, a lot of people don't understand there's breaking even and there's profit. Breaking even just essentially means you lost. No business wants to break even. But I've noticed that when it comes to access media like them, they celebrate breaking even. They're like, well, the movie broke even, so why are you mad? That's bad. I'm sorry.
It's not good, man.
I might have liked the movie, and I probably did, but breaking even's not good. You walk up to those executives and tell them, yeah, you probably dumped like $200 million into a movie and your ass just broke even. Yeah, that's not good. I don't know where that became good to just lose money like that. Yeah, you didn't gain anything, you didn't lose anything either. It's like, well, that's still shit.
The first game I remembered where they talked about like the budget of the game and how much it needed to make was Dead Space 3. And I remember that it was such an odd decision because Dead Space is, I mean, I love Dead Space and it's a good game, but it's a niche game. Like survival horror is not like, you know, a first person shooter. It's not like Valorant or Call of Duty or Overwatch. It's, you know, specific people like survival horror. So the fact that they took a niche game, a niche genre, and they were like, okay, so we're going to add multiplayer and microtransactions, and we need to sell this many millions of copies, or it's a failure, and we're going to kill the series. What? Why? What the point? What is the point of that? Like,
That's
why are you putting that on the studio? Why are you putting that on the fans? Like, if I love the series, I can only buy one copy. Maybe I can buy two. Like, there's not, if you're not like appealing to more audiences, and I guess that's what they're trying to do by adding so much of that crap, but like that doesn't fit with the genre. So then like, why do you have this expectation? Sometimes I think that they almost want people, like maybe they want to guilt them, and like the whole Concord thing. Yeah, it was actually a $200 million failure. Why are you telling us that? Like, because then if I don't like the game, I'm just going to be like, hey, sweet, you guys fail. You know, who does that benefit?
Like, I think those things are always getting overblown because average people just don't understand. Because with movies, I've understood people just don't get it at all. They legitimately think on the surface level, because like, we'll use Venom 2 for example. Venom 2 took in about $500 million box office worldwide. So an average person will think, well, damn, studio made a lot of money. They invested $100 million. They got $500 million back. Guys, I wish it worked that way. I truly wished it worked that way. It does not, because there's a thing called you can't put your shit in people's places for free, and you can't do that. They charge you for that. And then the people that actually, you know, the movie theaters, they take a percentage of the box office ticket sales. Now you're starting to understand that $500 million is split probably, damn, like how many theaters? 4,000 theaters is the max here.
Yeah.
And factor in how many theaters it's out and overseas. Plus, to actually just put the movie out, to just launch it with a marketing campaign, you have to pay for that too. Now, with the video game, it's a little more different, obviously, outside of like the marketing budget, because the studio would recoup most of the money back. But still, if you make Spider-Man 2, for example, the Insomniac one that came out and no one talks about anymore. It's crazy. It's fucking Spider-Man. No one mentions anymore. $200 million budget game they mentioned. That marketing budget to launch that game was probably in like 80 million or maybe.
Usually I've heard that in the case of movies, correct me if I'm wrong, but they say that in movies, they usually match the budget for the marketing cost. So I imagine for a game of that pedigree, it's probably pretty close to that.
It's probably about at least $100 million too. So a $300 million game, they've not. You would know if that game made profit for them. They would brag about it until the end of the earth. Even like random fans would just parrot it. Oh, but this game made them $1 billion. Oh, well, thank you. I'm sure you're getting all that money, obviously. Like with big blockbuster tentpoles, like those budgets, the marketing ones are like between like 60, 80 million. That's crazy.
I know.
You know? So is it because they're spending all this money, or have things just gone up that much? Because labor costs have gone extreme. We've seen a bunch of TV show streamers / shows, so they don't want to pay the residuals to the creators. Like, I don't think it's
Yeah.
just because they're spending a lot of money just so they want to. I think it's because everything just went up in value. Like, people like yourself, I'm pretty sure, going to the grocery store hurts when you swipe the card in or you put it into the
Bro, so
machine.
much. So much so. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's
The
just gone up in
worst.
value, and not in a
Yeah.
good way. Like, hey, my old stuff that I bought when I was younger,
Right.
no. This just things just naturally have just exploded in value. So,
Yeah.
right at this
But I
point
mean,
now
like,
where
if you look at like, I mean, look at the stuff that they're making, and I'm not trying to like dump on it. It's just a financial point, but like, I can't
yeah,
look at an episode of The Acolyte and I can't tell you where that money went. Like,
I couldn't tell you either.
where did the money go?
Or
Because
this thing, the fact that they even thought they were worth that much money. Like,
right.
you usually give those big contracts out to like a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, a Shaq, right? These guys
Yeah.
aren't anywhere in that type of level, and even in this field. So these people are getting like the bag for appearing in just content. I saw the first trailer. I was like, nope, not doing
Yeah.
this. Not getting tricked by
Yeah,
this
no.
shit. Nope.
No.
Imagine getting like fucking. She got probably paid so much money just to put out that level of performance for a show that no one watched. They're
Right.
just giving the bag to people. Just they basically what you would chase in Hollywood, which is like fame in the bag. They're just giving the bag to any fucking dog person that just walks in the door.
It's insane. And it
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense because like you'd think that like with the story that The Acolyte had,
There's a
bad as
story
it
there.
is, it's
There's a-
simple, right? So like
yeah.
you don't need a huge budget for that. You need a forest in Canada and a couple of people wearing robes carrying around props. That's
Yeah.
really all you need. So and that needs that much money.
You could have
Like,
filmed that in Vancouver, like they do those CW shows.
yes,
And just
that's
put the
where
budget
everything
into
that
it.
if you need a forest and it's science fiction, you're going to Vancouver. That's how it works.
Yeah. Like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what are they doing with all this money? Now, there is that one story from that one, I forgot which movie it was on Netflix, but there was this big articles that came out for this guy where basically he admitted to, like, he spent the movie's budget on some retarded shit. That was a
Right.
long time ago. I think about a few years ago, this guy who directed a Netflix movie admitted he basically just spent the money on just dumb shit they didn't need. Either what the movie didn't need or he just spent it on himself. There's no way some of these movies and shows are worth $200 million. Like,
No.
even from the casual set, some of them are just filming in the street. You tell me you filming in the street, you need like what, 15 mil for that? Like,
Right.
I don't know where this money is going to. This is some bullshit. Like, half the stuff isn't working.
It reminds me of that video JonTron did where he's like he does the flexing, flex tape too. And
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hold on, guys. I think he's still here. Don't worry. He's still here. He's still talking. Or unless he completely crapped out on me.
entirety. He said, "What if I spent the entirety of the film budget on drugs, on hard drugs, because it's gone, like all the money, I spent it all on drugs." And I think that maybe that could explain some of them, but like that's a lot of drugs.
It's a fucking
Concord.
God,
It's a lot of drugs for Acolyte. I don't know.
So, how did you ever get into comic books? Actually,
Well, so I, as a kid, I loved superheroes, but I couldn't get comics very often. So when I, just because when I grew up, so I had a really good upbringing, but I had a very modest upbringing. So we didn't have a lot of money. And so I couldn't afford comics, but I was the little kid that when I loved going to the grocery store or whatever, because that back then there were comics on like the racks and everything. So when we would go to the grocery store or we were shopping, I would go and I'd grab comics and I would like read them in the cart while we were shopping. So that's how I would read the comics that I could read. I got some, like I managed to get my hands on some Ninja Turtles comics. I had a trade paperback of Dick Tracy. I had a couple of X-Men comics and Spider-Man comics. And when I got them, I cherished them. When I was really little, I would read them until they fell apart, but I always loved the superheroes.
yeah.
So then as a kid and being able to watch the superhero shows, if it wasn't like new, like on Fox Kids, some of the stuff that they were doing, like, the classic, 90s Spider-Man and X-Men, they would do replays of the early 90s stuff like Iron Man and Fantastic Four and things like that. And I would watch those religiously because I just love superheroes. So I would, as I aged and grew into adulthood and everything, I would read more and more. And I would, of course, with the proliferation of the internet, it made it easier to read comics and catch up on stuff. So as a poor teenager, I pirated a lot of books, I'll admit. But then as I
But the same
got
thing.
older,
I just didn't have any money. The
right,
only
I didn't have any.
yeah, and I told people it was because I was trying to do that. I would, if I had that money and I would have legit wasted my allowance and any extra money I had on
Exactly.
books if
In
I
case
could.
in point, like the stuff that I loved that I read, I bought it when I got older and I could.
Yeah, that
Because I
guilt.
was
You're
like,
like,
I love
ah.
this. I want to own it, you know? Like I
Yeah.
have I've told everybody, everyone knows how much I love Spider Girl. I have the Spider Girl volumes, you know, because I want to support it because I love Spider Girl and I couldn't buy it when it was doing its original run. So you know, so I loved comics. And so 2021 I was following I've been kind of doing a slow, long divorce from mainstream media for years now. Probably started before even 2010, probably 2009. And I've been just like, and it wasn't really because of politics or wokeness or anything like that. It was mostly just because I felt like the quality was just
Oh, yeah, I agree. Because the quality certainly has been dipping. I will for sure agree on that. I mean,
getting there. Are you still hearing me or am I coming through?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
At,
I've got the little spinning wheel on my camera. Sorry about that.
at
So,
single points, you were dipping out, but don't worry, I was filling in the gas and you weren't there.
appreciate it. So I was trying to kind of get away from mainstream entertainment anyway. So I ended up following a lot of people that you see talking about indie comics on Twitter, X, whatever. So people like, you know, Luke Stone, who made Fun My Comic. I was following him. I was following a lot of writers, a lot of artists. I was following Eric July actually for his politics and his debate videos and stuff even before he started dipping his fingers into comics. So all these people I was following in 2021 just because I was looking for like alternative stuff to watch. And somebody actually Ron Christian, who's doing Tales to Inspire, he wanted to do a comic book universe. And I say this with all love to Ron. He did a casting call for writers. He said, "Hey, I'm looking for people to write my comic book universe." And I was like, "Oh, let me try," you know, because I'd never written a comic book script, but I wanted to try it. And he was really, really impressed. He's like, "Oh, I want you to write my speedster character." I was like, "Great." Now I say this because again, I loved Ron, but he bit off like more than he could chew. He could not launch a universe. He just doesn't have the capital for it. You know, you have to like look. Eric July said he spent, you know, $200,000 of investment money put into Rippaverse, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, Ron is not poor, but he doesn't have $200,000 to spend on a comic book company, right? So
just go to the bank. Go to the bank
just get a loan and just throw it all on the line, right? Put it all on black, right? So
God.
but we still talk, we're friendly and everything, but he had to kind of scale back his plans. But it got the writing bug in me going again. So I was like, I kind of want to write comics, even if he isn't ready for me to write a script for his universe yet. I kind of want to do my own thing. So that's how I got involved with, like I said, I talked to Luke and I got to know Telepathic Bunny and Hojo and Immortal Rising, all these different people that ended up coming together and we made Out of Obscurity last year. And the Out of Obscurity book was great and we had a lot of success for it with the crowdfunding. And the crazy thing is, really quick, if anyone remembers me from talking about that book, it's late and I'm sorry about it being late, but we had the craziest thing happen. It's an anthology book, so everyone was contributing a different story. One of the people vanished, like off the face of the earth. We cannot get a hold of him. And he was contributing probably like an eighth or more of the book's content with his story. So when he just vanished, no one can get a hold of him. We don't have a complete form. We have like some pages. We don't have the script. We don't have everything colored. So he's just gone. So like, we're like, okay, we promised this many stories. So we're trying to figure out what to do to put stuff in the book so it actually gives people what we were promising to them. So it caused this.
Okay, yeah, because that would definitely not
That's
be good.
really,
Someone just
yeah. So it's just a mess. Now the good news is with the comic that I'm promoting now through the sign up, that's actually going to be an Out of Obscurity, and that's like another 30 pages of content that we're putting into the book. So that's good. But it was a huge mess, and just trying to figure out, you know, what happened to the guy and what to do.
because I've known there's been some people that have asked, like, well, why don't people just collide their books all together in like an anthology series and see which one is the best one to go off of? Well, the problem with that is, like, if you have like more than one person on it, you're relying on them to put in their best foot forward.
Exactly.
There's too many factors in for that. That's why, like, the things that are conventionally easy for mainstream are so much easier because we get back factor. And if you're in the mainstream, well, you want to put your anthology in their book better than someone else. You're like, oh man, I want to beat that person. My Batman story is better than his. Well, if you're doing some buttfuck indie comic out of your basement, well, I'm pretty sure you don't have the same level of drive. Right. And even more so, you have to run a campaign, how much you divide up the value of how much you made equally. It's just too much stuff to do it, honestly.
Well, I'll tell you too, there are some people that have that drive, and there are a lot of people who don't give a shit. And it's like, it's obvious, like when you get into those projects, you find out real quickly who's going to work really hard and who's not. And it sucks when you are part of a book. And there are people who are not pulling their weight, and it's because, I mean, what are you going to do? Right. You still have to promote it. You still want it to be successful, but you're pulling like this other guy's rope and this other guy's rope, and you're hoping that guy will pick up the rope. And I'm watching that happen in a couple of different things right now, just as an outsider, because like my experience with an anthology, friends of mine will say, hey, can you kind of consult on this? I'm like, I guess, yeah, sure. I'll tell you what my experience, but I'll tell you what I know.
So your first project was the anthology book that basically kind of fell apart because one of the guys vanished. I remember you were doing that old grandpa.
Super guy. Yeah.
What happened to that? Are you saying?
Well, the book's still happening. I mean, it's still, anyone who backed the book will still get it. It's just late, and so we're adding a bunch of stuff to it. So when it does get there, the people who backed it are probably going to get about 25 to 30% more than we originally promised to make up for the fact that it was late. So that's
it's not on the fault of, and it's on the fault that you didn't want to give. It's because other shit just happened.
And one of the things too that we wanted to make the book appealing and make it kind of like rare. So like Super Guy is exclusive to the book for 6 months after the book comes out. The book hasn't come out. Once the book comes out, then I can publish it on like globalcomics.com, or I can do like a giveaway or something. But for a little while, I want to honor that contract and keep it exclusive to the book so the people who get it will be able to enjoy it first. So it's really about trying to, it's a messy way of trying to figure out what's the best way to honor and
make sure the customers.
Yeah, it's all about that. So the book will definitely show up. Luke was the guy who ran the project, and he's the Fund My Comic guy. He couldn't get away without putting out a book because everyone knows him. So like, he would have to put it eventually.
If he didn't put out just imagine that irony. The person that's running the independent crowdfund website not putting out a book on time or is late. That is the irony of irony. I was like, okay, now we're all just
it's rough. That's getting rough.
I remember I talked to Gabe El Taib at the F&T Las Vegas Geeks and Gamers meetup earlier this year, and he gave me like the professional rundown of what a comic book should cost to make. And then I realized to myself, people don't even make the books for that much. They make it for even less and still can't get them out or make profit on them. We just recently saw the Razor Fist George situation with Ghost of the Badlands. I did buy Ghost of the Badlands. I did buy it. Have I read it yet? No, because as you can see, there's a lot of I have to read over there that I've got to. Yeah. It's just, that situation is so weird because if you, this hypothetically, I'm not saying either party was wrong, but if you can't make profit in a $350K comic book campaign, then that's pretty bad.
I genuinely don't know how that's possible.
I'm not saying George is lying. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. It might have just been that's like, guys in life, people just honestly just make mistakes. It's not like, oh, he intentionally no, sometimes you just fuck up, you learn, and you just kind of go from there. But if the international shipping costs are that much, that's why maybe shipping internationally isn't the best idea for indie comic books, because if that eats that much into your profit, that means a $350K book is not going to be profitable. Then there's some really big problems here, honestly.
And part of because again, we obviously don't know their finances. We don't know their books, but you can look at, okay, if it made $350,000, they're as far as I understand it, they're 50-50 co-owners. So if they're 50-50 co-owners, then anything that is actual profit is split between them. So if it's split between them, then in the case of Razor Fist's primary job is talking and into a webcam. That's like he's a YouTuber, right?
Are you calling him a cam whore?
Yeah. Subscribe to Razor Fist OnlyFans. But George, being an artist, if he's focused solely on creating Ghost of the Badlands, it could be taking away opportunities for him to do other things, or make
Yeah.
money in other ways. So
Yeah.
it could be a loss for him, and that might be why it's not good for him to do it, because for him, he may have made less over the course of a year, spending so much time working on that versus doing solo projects or whatever else.
Yeah.
But without knowing their books, obviously we can only
Also,
speculate, but
another
that could
thing,
be
because
why.
given the printing, guys, that book, if you got it either on the campaign or I got it off Amazon, it's a oversized hardcover encyclopedia style print on it. So that
Wow.
I would imagine costs even more than what the average print run would cost for like a floppy. Like I think I have it over here. Hold on 1 sec. I think their book is like this. Hold on 1 sec. Their book's like this.
Wow.
So imagine this is on so it's obviously a little bit smaller than this, but imagine you have that cover, back, spine, pages. I mean, the art definitely has to be made in a certain way where it covers hardcover. This definitely would cost more to print than an average floppy. Like
Oh
that's
yeah. You're probably looking at, it's been a while since I looked at the numbers, but just even with people like Critical Blast, I think for something like that, you'd be looking at probably 4 times or 5 times as expensive as a floppy. So yeah, you're
I
looking
would
at a
have
big
strictly
markup.
just went paperback. I like,
Yeah.
hey, I know people like all these different editions like Marvel and DC can do. Well, given fact, we're not them. That you guys aren't them.
No, we are
You're
not.
literally not them. I think
No.
maybe max what Project Noasis does. That's good. Like
Yeah.
a meaty enough floppy, and then later on do a trade, because like all these people want to do these hardcover. I see people talk about doing omni. I think certainly the CG drama was about an omnibus. These guys can barely get out a book on time. Talking about an omnibus, get the fuck out of here. What can this?
You'd think an omnibus would be
Yeah.
easier, because an omnibus is a collection of works that already exist.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how that would possibly take longer, but
but that just blows my mind. If you can't even make profit of a 350K book, we're like, shit. Like, I hope he didn't calculate those shipping costs that wrong, because if he was charging $5 for each person, oh no, George.
Yeah, I again, it's like I can only speculate, but I heard that a lot of I don't think EVS said this, but I know a lot of people speculated that because he was doing shipping rates based on the initial launch period of the campaign from to 2021 2022, that with the shipping increase for 2024 especially, that could end up hurting his bottom line, because the shipping, people paid for shipping at like $8 or whatever, but now it might, maybe it's 12 or something, 15 or whatever, but he has to pay that out of his pocket. So if that's the case, that would suck.
Yeah, because if you're a European viewer and you bought that book on shipping for like $8 or $10, well, for me to ship that to you, that probably costs like $20 each person that ordered that. So I feel bad about the situation, because I a lot of people are looking forward to getting a sequel to the book. I'm not saying, guys, this would never happen again, but I think in time it could happen again. Like maybe,
I hope so. I like George's art. He actually did. Did you see his comic Mary Sue?
No.
It was actually pretty cool. It was kind of like a quirky action comedy thing about a girl that had a mech suit. But he had, I like his art a lot, and I think it's very distinct and very unique. So
yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out whenever I get the free time.
Seeing him do like full page comics and everything is really enjoyable. So I hope he continues to do that with Razor Fist, if he can find a way to make it, viable, or at least does another cool project like Mary Sue.
Oh, the other thing we'll bring up here is you've had some cross debates between Comicsgate and Iron Age. Now, I don't see anyone really talking about like Iron Age as much anymore. It was kind of popping up for a little bit there, but it's not really been talked about. And obviously you're gonna have like CG people celebrate that it's not a thing, but I don't ever want to celebrate when something is not a thing that isn't doing anything bad. Like it was just basically a bunch of creators going, hey, we want to support each other, promote each other, and get our books more known out there. I don't see why that not getting enough traction or not being talked about is a good thing, because they're not inherently doing anything bad. It seems to me like certain CG people just want that to be the de facto movement, and it's like that name carries so much weight of bad behind it. I don't know why anyone would want to be a part of it, but that's just me.
I don't know. Well, see, this is the issue, and I hosted a debate on it, and I still don't know. I don't know what Iron Age like is like, if because I remember Gamergate,
Yeah.
like in comedy. So like I could tell you what Gamergate is. I can tell you what Wikipedia defines it as, and I can tell you what it actually is, the truth. But like
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know like Iron Age. My understanding of it was, I believe it was coined by Razor Fist. I believe he was using it as a reference to a like a starting over, like where we are going into a new independent age of
Yeah.
publishing, and that's why he
Mhm.
called it an Iron Age, like a starting over point where we're going from, okay, we can't
That was
rely
my
on,
understanding too. Yeah,
right,
he
so
coined it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you can't rely on these publishers, so we're starting over. It's independent, it's a new independent age of publishing, and like books, and primarily I thought it was books, I thought it was like novels,
Mhm.
and it kind of included kind of everything that was like in the indie sphere. So like, you know, Iron Age in the sense of starting over with game publishing, comic book publishing,
Yeah.
you know, novels and everything. So that was my understanding, and I never got the impression until I think it was, I don't even remember who it was. I think it was BA. I know it was BA because BA is a pretty frequent guest for
It
the
was
debates, but I
BA.
think he was debating
He was
Timothy
dating Tim.
Joseph.
Yeah.
But I never even, I had no idea that there was a rivalry between the hashtags until that, really, because I just thought it was a different hashtag that people use to organize and get the word
Yeah.
out about projects. So I don't really know why. I don't know. I saw, I mean, I follow everybody, you know, I try to get
Mhm.
everybody's hot takes on X, and I saw EVS going back and forth at Daniel Riley, of all people, about, I think, the Iron Age. And I just thought, okay, well, that's weird. Like EVS is, and I'm not one of those people who's like, oh,
Yeah. Well, EVS sure is a
and I don't
huge
even mean
gold
that
mine.
disrespectfully to Daniel Riley. Daniel Riley's a successful creator. He's written a book. He's got two issues. He's a very well loved editor. I mean this against him, not at all.
Yeah.
I asked him to review my book. I respect him, but like, he's small. I'm small. You know, we're all smaller than people like EVS. So like, why Daniel Riley? Like, because he mentioned Iron Age and Comicsgate, and like he didn't even use the hashtag. It was just odd to me. Like,
Yeah. I mean, the
why?
only person that's been basically saying the Iron Age is dead is from, yeah, if I agree, been mostly just Ethan. Because, well,
Yeah.
keep in mind, he is a human being that I don't understand. It's like an enigma of a person that just probably, like, it's a huge parody that you would notice in a movie. This is actually a person. It's a person who will, like, I watched enough to know, like, he just says stuff just
Yeah.
off the top of his head. He doesn't know half what he's talking about. Someone like him will be like, well, Iron Age is dead. Well, how do you define it as dead if it never started? It's just not
Yeah.
it could just not be dead. It could just not be popular, right? And
Yeah.
keep in mind, no one wants to be associated with Comicsgate as much as they used to. And for Comicsgate not to be the top dog in like the indie space in terms of people that want to join it, well, yeah, he doesn't like competition. Like, why do people think he's going after Eric? I generally don't think he has to do anything other than the fact that he is jealous that Eric's doing better. He
The
could never
problem
admit
with
that to you, but
watching
you know,
EVS is that he says things sarcastically in the exact same tone that he says them seriously. So
yes,
the
yeah,
problem with that is that unless you know the guy, you never know if he's full of shit or not. I remember watching it was like a clip or a stream or something from Kino Casino, and
Mhm.
they were watching an EVS clip, and they were talking about something that he said, and they were playing it straight. And in this particular instance, I knew that Van Sciver was joking, but PPP didn't seem to know that. But like, how do you know? Because he says it with the exact same tone, so you don't
Yeah.
really know.
He says
So
in his
that makes
tweets
it like,
too.
but some people will, maybe he does this. Some people will use that so that they can just say, well, I was just kidding, if they get heat on stuff. I don't know if he does that. He seems to like stirring the shit. So,
Yeah, he does. He does that too. What you just said, that he
yeah,
does that too. Like
yeah,
the time where he basically mentioned that they were softly canceling Eric behind the scenes. He's like, "Well, I was taking it out of context, just putting it out here, people. If Gail Simone and I don't fucking know Scott Snyder was on a video call saying that, would that be taken out of context? Would you think the same way? It's such bullshit how people just get away with random stuff here. It's because people just don't want to step on the toes of these people. But
yeah.
there's certain things that guy's done. I'm just like, this guy's just a piece of shit. Like, and people said, well, if you just ignore him, he'll go away. It's not how that works, guys. I know that's what life told you, but that's just a lie. Sometimes if you just put your head in the sand, things just don't go away. Honestly, he's going to be
Well,
someone that's just,
I mean, it's true. I don't think that there's anything that I don't think there's anything Eric July could do that would make people that don't like him. I don't think that they would go away.
oh no, yeah,
But I
except
think that
fails.
his
But Because anything Eric does is bad in these people's minds. That's just how it is, actually. Black man bad, as they say.
His bottom dollar. Like I don't see like if he makes or does not make a sale on ISOM 3, I don't know if Ethan would really have an impact on that or not. Maybe he does, but like I mean even if EVS were impacting people wanting to buy ISOM 3, I don't know what Eric could say that would change their mind. Like they're either going to think that Ethan's right or not. So really what it comes down to, I think, is just your product. So like if people are like excited about the book, they're going to buy the book. And frankly, I understand why, like Ethan makes a lot of money doing trash casts and stuff. I get why he does it. Like I get why everyone who does like drama streams and talks about hot topics, I get it. I really do. I wish that he would do art critique streams, because that, like when he did art critique streams, even when he was being like kind of a shit about it and he was roasting people, he actually had a lot of knowledge, because like 30 years of being a professional artist, you will have a lot of knowledge. I remember, because again, I follow everybody. I saw Shane Davis talking about, someone posted this gorgeous, like I think it was Batman, and he drew it. And he was like, "Oh, this is shit." And I was like, "This is shit" to him. Like he considers this. And I don't think he saw it, but I asked him, "Could you please do a stream and talk about why this is shit?" Because I would like to know from an artist standpoint, break down why this is bad. Because me, dummy writer guy who can't draw, I see that and I'm like, oh my God, this is a wizard created this out of magic, but like to him, he's like, oh, this is awful.
Dude,
I would love
there
to
are
see
people that genuinely think Jim Lee's overrated. Like his art's not as good as everyone says. And it's like,
yeah,
I would love for you to tell me why. Because like,
tell me why? Make the argument.
People will say things like Batman Hush is overrated. And it's like, I've learned in life, people are just gonna say things are overrated just to engage in what's that thing? Engage in farm. Actually,
engage in farm. Yeah,
what makes you think, like, why is Hush overrated? They never tell you why. You'll never get a reply to that comment ever. It's just like, oh, oopsie, I was just kidding. Yeah, it's that fucking bullshit.
I'm just gonna mute this thread and go over here now. Yeah,
because when it comes to like the scene that you and I know of, I think people really have to understand how like low on the totem pole they are.
Oh, I know.
It's not that you're competing with Marvel and DC. That's never happening. So when Ethan's like, well, Eric July is not competing with Marvel and DC, well, neither is he.
No, none of us are. Right.
Logic, like, yeah. So I don't know why that's big on Eric when nobody is. And people are like, why? Oh, let's just use it this way. Image Comics is a big known publisher that produces indie titles. Okay, so guys, as you know, comic books come out weekly, okay? So since, just use Image, for example. Image can produce weekly indie comics faster than anybody can, because obviously they're a big publisher. They have obviously enough cred, enough people want to work for them, deals, publishers, all that stuff, right? So they can print out indie comics weekly. Just factor in how many they print a month, okay? Charging $2.99. $2.99. Actually, okay. So then now you're someone who's even below. There's Dark Horse that does it too. They're considered like an indie. They're like a major publisher that produces indie titles. Boom Studio has it. Right. IDW. Can you factor in how much lower you are than them? Then there's other people that like. There's Dynamite Comics. Under that, there's Titan Comics. There's Antarctic Press. Okay, now you start to understand. There's an actual ranking here of how low you are.
Yes.
Like
I
it
feel
took
like
me a while to grasp that, and once you grasp it, you're like, nobody's beating them.
No, it's like it's the Loki speech from Avengers. Why would a boot fear an ant? I'm an ant under a boot for like the people like Antarctic, and then the like up at the top. That's where like the big two are. They can't. They don't have the magnification necessary to see people like us, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's why I tell people you're gonna have some outliers like Eric and a few others that like Iconic Comics that do well.
Yeah,
but you guys know I like Eric a lot. I like the guys from Iconic Comics, but we gotta be honest here. They're not challenging them either. There's no way.
I mean, like, so it's exactly your point. Iconic Comics, every time they do a volume of Common America, $100,000 campaign.
Great. Yeah,
every time. That's amazing to us, and it ain't chump change to Marvel. It ain't chump change to IDW. It ain't shit to them. But like to us, it's like, oh my God, what an amazing success. You know, I'm like,
Mhm.
I wish I could get up there. But to like, you know, to the big guys, it's not a big deal. You know?
And that's the other thing here too is I wish people would focus a little bit more on creating characters,
Yeah,
iconic ones that could eventually. I get not everyone's creation is going to pop off, but the
sure.
reason why Marvel and DC can pop up with their characters, even Image Comics, when they have characters like Savage Dragon,
Yeah,
the creators, even though I know people don't like them, they are geniuses on a certain level where they made stuff that
yeah,
is so simple based that has
yeah,
been taken off for years. Like, I mean, just recently, I mean, you look at just like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, X-Men, like Batman as a concept is very simple. There's nothing truly in depth about his character
yeah,
until we got that expanded later on in his mythos.
sure.
But Bob Kane and Bill Finger created something very simple that has been probably one of the most influential, iconic characters ever. Is anything like that coming out of the scene? Bro, I don't know, because like
I don't know. Yeah.
yeah. The thing is, it's not really just the companies themselves. These creators created iconic characters that you still talk about to this day. That's what will bring up an indie title up there. You have
Yeah.
to do that. Other than, well, I guess you'll just be known as the guy that's under Dynamite, Titan Comics, and Anarchy
Right.
Press.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a character who appeared in a crossover with people who were a lot bigger than me, and they were
Oh my god, man!
like,
That
"Hey,
shit's crazy.
not mine, but somebody's." Maybe I can climb
Yeah.
up there someday.
So and when you have people saying things like, "Well, Rippaverse is not competing with mainstream," first of all, you're not either, and nobody will. I don't know where that comes from. You're not competing with them. They don't even know you exist.
Yeah.
Actually, the writers and people they probably block you if they don't like you. Honestly,
Yeah.
And you know they have their own problems. So I'm not saying they're perfect.
Sure.
But
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
this is a whole different. I think that, what was that saying? There's levels to this. There's real.
Yeah.
levels
What?
To this. Yeah.
I commented on this, I think privately, but like it's really bears. I think I actually did make a tweet about it, but it bears repeating. It's worth repeating. Like the people who run Marvel and DC, they hate all of us equally. They don't like any of us. They don't like Eric.
Yeah.
Just because the CG people don't like Eric, that doesn't mean that like actual fandom is suddenly a big fan of Eric July. He's not. You know, like it doesn't mean that suddenly. Oh God, what's that idiot that tried to? He was the author who tried to cancel Zach with Antarctic Press. I can't remember his name. Mark Wade, where
Mark Wade.
he did
good
like
lord.
he almost they had to settle out of court because his ass got in so much trouble trying to cancel somebody across state lines and all the tortious interference implications and everything, allegedly or whatever. Like I said, they did settle out of court, but I mean, like it's amazing to me. Like these people all hate us equally, and like I because I follow everybody. I know that I think that there is a perception that I'm like anti Rippaverse when I'm not. I genuinely try to be friends with everyone. I am very friendly
Eric
with
has
BA
no problem
Turner.
with you either.
Yeah, I really do like everybody. And if people like I said in my Yaira review, if you like Yaira, I don't care. That's great. Like it doesn't bother me if someone likes something that I'm not a fan of. I still am friends with people. So I follow everybody, and my point being, I will see people that will tweet out like the most right-wing based conservative, thing. And then the people that they hate and argue with will say the exact same thing. And then 5 minutes later, they're just butting heads talking about how much the other person sucks. And it cracks me up because I'm thinking like, we're literally all on the same political spectrum. We're all like really similar, like as far as like morality, ideology, and things like that. But like, no, fuck the frog, no, fuck I. It's like it kills me.
That's why
like
I said it's jealousy. People have to understand how far jealousy can run in somebody because people always can base on basis of what someone does claim they're jealous because actions are louder than words. But people factor in. If you're in the same sphere of people, and this goes for left wing and right wing people, or even center people, or just use your examples in real life too. You could agree with someone on many things, but if you out succeed them in something, they will be jealous. They can't say, they're not going to say that to you. That's not how people function. No one's going to Ethan is not going to come out and say, I'm jealous of Eric July. We can just tell that from his actions. That's
a lot of people have a hard time. I really try to look at people who are successful, and if I know them personally, Animane, best friend that I've met in this sphere, Bond of the Blade on Kickstarter, made I think like $2,500 I love that guy. He is a brother. I'm so happy that he was successful and he hit stretch goals and he added 4 pages to a story. I cannot feel jealous for that guy, but I try to take that attitude and like, I look up to people like Tonic Mole for saving the world and Nicholas Mueller for Demon Hunter Raven and Winnie the Pooh Demon Hunter and Tyler Carpenter for all of his properties and Iconic Comics. And like, I see those guys as like, I want to aspire to be where they are. And so I look at them and I want to be motivated to find my way to be as successful as they've been. Saving the World has had 11 volumes. Common America, 10 volumes. Your World of Megafist has had 4 volumes, and each volume is 200 freaking pages. Demon Hunter and Raven, tons of books, tons of Winnie the Pooh, Demon Hunter. These guys are putting out books consistently, and like I like that's inspirational to me. So I think I'm not saying I look at Elevated Jared. I'm just saying like I see it and I can't let jealousy get in the way of people who are doing what I want to do. All I can do is look at it and say, I need to figure out how they're doing that. And I need to learn from them. And that's so that's why I want to be friends with people. I want to network. Like teach me, let me see how you do this. Like, let me watch you and watch your success and see how I can apply that. And that's where, a lot of the ideas that I'm trying to do with this comic promotion to get to the signups is like the 3 years of me watching people in this space do different things and trying to learn from them and apply it, because like they've already succeeded. Like why would I turn my back on a chance to learn from where they've succeeded?
For some reason, people are just so beyond stupid that they think because you think the same politically, or just outside of politics, you would just agree on most things because you decided how your minds all line up, that suddenly absolves people of being jealous, egotistical, and conniving or slimy in people's eyes. That's a word they want to use. I don't know where that comes from, guys. It's easier to point out when left-wing people do that, but the people that on both sides do it. I don't know where that, like, oh my God, this person agrees with that person. Why are they attacking? I don't give a fuck what their politics are like. That doesn't change anything. Like, if people have mentioned people on like CG side, well, they'll just go after and talk about people at FNT, but they agree on the same things. Doesn't matter. They just because you agree on the same things does not mean I have to like you. Like, that's I don't know why you guys think these things. It blows my mind. I'm actually reading these tweets and going, wow, I'm living in Bizarro world here. Where I'm just living. I'm in Bizarro world. I'm not escaping anytime soon. Please. Hot old grandma lady, save me. I can be your sugar baby. Just save me. Yeah, man.
I know.
It's just crazy how like every day it's something back and forth. And it's not just drama, it's every dumb things. It's someone will be like, well, I think one person had a tweet. I think Ravenslaw did it. I was like, man, I like this guy, but this tweet was just so bad. He was like, would you back a book if it was drama was involved in it? I was like, Raven, bro, why? What did you? He hit the crack pipe that day, Raven. Bro, you hit the crack pipe on that one. Why are you backing a book if drama's involved? That would actually be a reason not to back a book, honestly.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that there's no drama around. Like I just picked up the 4th book in Soul Finder, which I love.
I have the whole series.
Yeah, Soul Finder's great. I'm like, I'm not Catholic, but I buy those rosaries because they're so freaking cool, man. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I love Soul Finder, and I like the fact that I know that people said that Ernst was involved in some bullshit a couple of years ago. I don't see that guy on any live streams talking shit. I don't see him tweeting about shit. I don't see the people who write Common America or draw Common America talking shit. And I like that. Like, I can just like enjoy the fandom and see art of the characters, and that's really cool. And I really like that. And I know, like, as I will say that, and I mean that genuinely, but I know that there's an audience for negativity. And I know that it does exist. So it's like, I know that we'll continue to be fed, but as I can only speak for myself, and for me, I do like it when I enjoy EVS doing art critiques. I enjoy that more than just shitting on Eric July, which if you want to shit on him, fine. Like, if you disagree with something he says, fine. But like, for me as an audience member, I enjoy the art critique more. I think that's just more like, it's genuinely educational to me, and it's not his job to teach me, but like, that's what I want to watch, so I enjoy the drama free stuff, the fan art stuff, all that kind of stuff a lot more.
Hmm. And the newest thing you're running now is a new comic you got going that's free. That's free to read online. So what's
Mhm.
crazy is me and my friend were talking about something similar like that. So basically, you're launching this free on a website, I'd imagine, right? Or you just
Yeah, it's a mailing list thing. So my
yeah,
idea is I paid for this out of my own pocket because I wanted
yeah,
to like invest in myself basically. And I want to say to people, because I'm small, my channel has like 425 subs. I don't have very many writing credits. I think I've got like two. This is my third, first solo one. So I don't have like a very big voice yet. I don't have a loud voice. I don't have a big name. So I wanted to, like I said, invest in myself. I wanted to produce a book I could afford to produce, which was
yeah,
it's 28 pages, 24 of it
yeah. I'll definitely
is
check it out.
and then the rest is like some extra stuff. But I wanted to do that because I could afford it, and I wanted to show people, hey, this is what I can do as a writer. This is what my artist can do as an artist. This is what my colors can do. This is what we can. This is what we can make. And I want people to read it and see if they like it. And I hope that they will. And the idea is, you get it for free by signing up for the mailing list
Mhm.
because I just want to say, hey, if you liked the book, we're about to do the campaign, and you can
It's your way
get
of gauging interest to see
yeah,
if
I
there's
want to build a
actual interest
readership.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so this is a way to do that. So I'm kind of doing like a sign up campaign where like I'm just giving the comic out basically. So that's the idea because I really believe in the story and I really want to tell it. But like it needs to be a bigger one. So the Morning Star is the big main story I want to tell. Chronicles, the Morning Star Chronicles are little side stories that happen alongside it. What I
Mhm.
would love to do, I don't know how like this is.
Pending
I'd
the
love to
money.
do yeah, I'd like to pay for each big book, and then if I make extra money, take all that money and invest it in free books to give out in between. So free book, free book, big book, and keep doing that
Yeah.
out. Doling that out to kind of give people free content, and then get them hyped up for the bigger book. That's what I would like to do, and I mean it will be tricky to do that, especially as small as I am, but that's
Mhm.
what I'm very much trying to do, and that's my best effort. So I really it's had really good reception so far. I've had I think two negative reviews, one which was kind of odd, where the person thought that the protagonist's name was Morningstar, and that confused me because that's not in the script, but
Mhm.
okay. And then the other one was it wasn't really negative, it was actually very positive, but it had a lot of really good criticism. So even though it
Yeah.
was a somewhat negative review, it was actually a really beneficial review for me. That one was one where I talked to the guy verbally, um, which is a shame because I didn't take any notes, and I need to talk to him again. Like, hey, can I take these notes because I need to take them back to my artist so we can like improve on that. So. But so far it's been well received, and it's been great to see the feedback. I positive, negative. I'm just happy that people have been able to read it and spend their time
Mhm.
with it and let me know what they think.
Yeah, because the conversation I was having with my friend was basically everything you had mentioned. It's because it's a hard thing to do is the fact that you could do it the way you did, but the problems that go along with that are like basically since you gave someone something free, now you have to basically hope that they reach out of pocket to buy something else that you have when you
Yeah,
already kind of given them something for free already. But then doing the money way up front is like, well, how do you justify someone spending this much money on you for a first time investment as a first time comic book guy? You
yeah,
know, and
exactly,
the thing is, but the thing that most people are not going to understand, you need the money because that's how you pay your artist and that's how you pay for people that do the work on the book. You can't just like
exactly.
coast off of projects making no money. I don't know why people think that's a thing. Like people say, well, you just have to just keep doing more. Yeah, but that like what? Where's this money coming from? You
Right,
have to
exactly
make
right.
money.
Yeah,
What do you let you paying all out of pocket. Good for you, but like
right.
most people are not gonna be able to do that. It's
Yeah,
just
I
how it
can. So
is.
I did the math the other day when I was talking to a
Mhm.
friend. I can afford a 28 page book over the span of 2 years paying for it. I can do
Well,
that.
yeah.
But a 64 page book over the course of 6 months, I cannot do that. I have to
Yes.
crowdfund that. So
Yeah.
like, and I truly do not give a shit about making a profit. I just want to pay the artist. so I can tell the
Yeah.
story. That's
Yeah,
all
but
I care about.
and that would still require you to make money because I know people want
Yes,
to pay the
exactly. I
artist.
have to make the money to pay the artist.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing most people are not going to understand, guys. It's not for free. Artists don't just be doing shit for free.
No, they
And
do
if you
not.
are doing that, you're a piece of shit. And I hope you fucking don't ever have to make a dime on doing that stuff. But the
Right.
thing
Yeah.
is, how are you gonna like your artists? They live on that passive income to live.
Yeah.
So you making no money is not a thing. That's just. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules, guys. People gotta get paid. People don't work for free, obviously.
Right.
Like no one would work for free in that space. I hope no
No,
artist does. Honestly,
it's kind of like the only instance where an artist would work for free would be an instance where it's a co-partnership thing, like George and Razorfist, or in the case of like Dillard and Flash. Like that is because they're hoping that the ownership that they have in the future will pay off as far as like the percentages outweighing their page rate. And most people that are especially like making a living right now as artists, they can't really afford to do that because they, like you said, they're paying their bills with their trade, like by doing art every day. My artist, when he's not drawing for me, he is drawing for other people every day. He's doing that every day because that's how he pays for his rent. That's how he pays for his food. So like he can't like just, give me a freebie and hope that we make it back on the back end for like what, what am I like ambitiously, I might be able to make $5,000, right? $5,000. What is that going to pay for as far as like his living expenses? Nothing, right? So he needs to be able to go from, okay, here's 64 pages, draw. Here's the next project, draw. And that's every day for him. And he needs to do it like that because that's how he pays his bills.
Because I think the other thing that goes into the scene, everyone, is you got to understand if most people are going to be doing these things on crowdfunding websites. So even I fund my comic, as Luke ran the numbers, I saw them and he did it on stream a few times and he talked about them. You will save a lot of money using his website over Indiegogo and Kickstarter. And we've seen with Indiegogo and Kickstarter, they've just been recently just kicking people out. I mean, I don't like John De La Rose. I've never had an issue with him. We're friends on Facebook. We talk every once in a while.
Yeah.
Why these platforms, even if they don't like you, they'll just get rid of you.
Yeah.
I'm saying, do you think that's fair that they just get rid of you if they just don't like you? That's not even how that should even work.
They don't even need to give you a reason. They will just do it, and then too bad.
God, I'm glad Luke came through with from my comment because you see a lot of people in the space talk about alternatives this, alternatives that. But it took a guy basically coming back from the brink of death to do it.
I know. Luke, dude, he's a champ, dude. Luke's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome guy. Yeah, and the fact that more people have not gravitated to what he's done is mind-blowing. But now I guess seeing more of what these people are doing would do it. Because recently the two that I know they did it to, like Cecil, who does the Jack show, and did it to John. Guys, if they can do that to John, you know they got one point to do it to Ethan?
Yep.
Unless someone there specifically likes him doing Trash Catch, which is probably the reason why he's still on there, because he shits on people. Probably the only reason why he's there on Indiegogo. People have said Indiegogo shadow bans him too.
Yeah, I remember. It was one of the last Common America volumes, and I think it was Indiegogo. They actually shadow banned Common America on Indiegogo of all things, and it was because of some stupid ass rule where like you can't use an existing mailing list to tell people about a current campaign or something like that, and it was like some really specific rule within the terms of service, and I'm pretty sure it was Indiegogo. And so if you wanted to go back the book, the only way you could find Common America was by going directly to the link from Common America's social media pages. You could not find it in the search engine on Indiegogo, which just blew my mind that someone as successful as that. But people have said this. The reason is because Indiegogo doesn't make their money off comics. They make their money off of like tech and other crap. So like comics to them, it doesn't really matter. Like even for Common America, it doesn't really matter. The percentage they take from them is nothing compared to like the millions on some other project for some, I don't know, self buttering piece of toaster or something like that somebody's crowdfunding on there.
Yeah, because I generally maybe I'm just a simple man. I think people only still use Indiegogo because it says the word indie on it.
Oh yeah, and I hate the site. I mean, I'm sorry. Like if you people like it, that's fine. But like I passionately hated it as soon as they did the tip, that stupid tip thing.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Like so I know like
I back books in there a lot. The random tip. Do you want to just tip like $20? What the fuck?
Hell no, I don't want to tip $20 to you. Does it go to him? No, it goes to the website. No, screw that. I know Hojo, Mythical's Hojo, and I backed all of his books. And the first book was on Indiegogo, Mythical's one, and I backed it on Indiegogo. And I went through and I was just go, yeah, click, yeah, Hojo, back it, yeah. And then I click and I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And I see, and it's a tip, and I canceled it. And Hojo's like, hey, why'd you cancel the book? I was like, the tip. They put a stupid tip on there, and I was like canceled it and I rebacked it and made sure I took the tip off because of that stupid tip.
Yeah,
That
Indiegogo.
he's told this story. His wife is an accountant, and Indiegogo sent him tax documents, and they were applying the tip to his money raised, and we're going to make him pay taxes on the tip that they collected.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable that they would do that.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's because it says the word indie in the title, and people think, oh, this is the place where I can get my. This is the place where I can go to get my dreams funded. Yeah, that's
because they don't. Kickstarter will take stuff and they will put it in front of your face. The Indiegogo doesn't do that. I've said like before, because I get email notifications from Indiegogo. Mm-hmm. Never once, not a single time have I gotten an email from Indiegogo saying, hey, check out this comic book. Never happened. They will tell me about a refrigerator. They'll tell me about a foot warmer, but they won't tell me about a comic book. I've never backed anything on there but comic books, but they won't tell me about a comic book. How does that make sense?
You want a new refrigerator? The fuck?
Not off Indiegogo.
No, but hard to ship. Oh my goodness! You ship a refrigerator. God bless you.
The shipping is just $600. It's Oh, great, awesome.
Like that's the other thing that I noticed with them is they'll shadow ban you. At worst, they'll take you down, not promote your book. And the reason why I heard they don't promote comics as much because they don't drive enough traffic like a new refrigerator or a new brand of sock warmer that exists out there. Yeah. Understandable. It's capitalistic. Sure. I get it from a business standpoint. I just don't get why there's so much of a push to support a website that has taken people down. I remember there was a CG big drama bit about not supporting Kickstarter because they shadow banned that idiot, that Richard C. Meyer idiot dude. So
yeah, actually, they did him. I know for sure. They did a lot of other people too, though. But that's the thing. Like it's the green side is going to shadow ban, the pink side is going to shadow ban. So like it's like you're picking your poison. Like I mean, okay, this one's not more righteous than the other one. Until Fund My Comic showed up, it was just like, okay, well, where can you do business? And it's just, good luck, So saying that one is somehow more friendly than another one, not really. It's not from what I've seen.
I hope Luke gets more people or someone, or people just, there's people there was a guy that I had on a long time ago that I really wanted to have on in the scene, and he finally came on, but he unfollowed me after I talked to him about Ethan. But hey, it's what it is. But I do respect him for doing this. He did do his own website to pull people there. Maybe people just need to do their own website to pull people in to raise money for that. And I get it. It costs money to have a website too, but what's more safer as an option? You driving traffic organically there or praying and hoping that you don't get randomly banned if you have like different politics than them?
Well, it's the website is it's actually
hopefully Luke can pull it off.
Tyler Carpenter is someone that is worth following if you're looking for somebody that talks about marketing in marketing sense. And one of the things that he said that I thought was extremely poignant was he talked about the perception of certain websites having advantages or not advantages. He did this experiment and it was very public after he succeeded with it. But My Sexy Witch Academia, he created a new account. And he had 10K in like the first 2 days. And it was because he had My Sexy Witch Academia, the title, sexy artwork on Kickstarter. And his point wasn't like, yeah, obviously you can make money with a titty book. His point was you can make money with a titty book on Kickstarter. Kickstarter's audience is very focused on titty books. They're very focused on Cthulhu. They're very focused on certain things within Kickstarter. That does not exist on Indiegogo. That does not exist on Fund My Comic. So like his point was if you know the audience that you are going after is on Kickstarter, you should use Kickstarter. But if
Yeah.
the audience that you're going after is not on Kickstarter, is not on Indiegogo or whatever, you still have to do the work of getting people to come and read or back your work. So it doesn't matter if you choose Fund My Comic, Indiegogo, or your own website, as long as you understand that you are going to be responsible for doing the labor of bringing readers to you. And if you understand that, then it doesn't really matter which one you choose. You just have to be the one responsible for bringing people to that campaign on Indiegogo, to that campaign on Fund My Comic, to Michael Bancroft's site for Lucent. So like
Yeah.
and like Bancroft's an example of someone who has done that masterfully, and largely letting the quality of his work speak for itself,
Yeah.
and that's what brings people to his website, the quality of his work. So if you do that kind of quality work, you have successful streams, that's going to do great for your website. But he could do the same thing on Fund My Comic, but he can has more control over his website. That's a little bit of an advantage. It's a control versus convenience thing of having your own website versus having a crowdfunded website. And some people are going to choose different things. Like some people like to ship it themselves, some people like to use Critical Blast, and it's really comes down to control versus convenience and cost and things like that. You just have to make the right decision for yourself.
Yeah, I think it's just on Fund My Comic, as they've proven with John De La Rose recently. Someone tried to say some bullshit and Luke went, "That's cool, goodbye." That's all you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Immediate shutdown.
Like, God, it's just there's so much stuff to navigate here, and like, I get people are mad at others for doing better, but you have to understand this. You can have your own level of success. Like people like Michael Brankoff, been a guy that people have talked about that has had his own level of success consistently. You don't even have to be like a top dog, so to speak. You could be someone that could just be doing good consistently. There's value in being good consistently, but
Yeah, I think
everyone just wants to
it's
see
the
this like big
motivation.
end goal. Yeah.
What's your motivation for doing this, right? Like, do you want to make money? Because that's like my approach is like, I want to tell this story, and I want to tell this story, and I don't need to make $10,000 to tell this story. I just need to make about $5,000 or $7,000 or $3,000. So like anything beyond that, okay, great. I can invest it in the next story. But if you're trying to like make money, that's where I think people are going to be really more more prone to falling into traps of jealousy and being more envious and not seeing themselves, like you just said, like seeing success on a level for them and wanting to chase after what they think they deserve more than somebody else. I think that's probably where
Rini
that's
is
more problem.
someone, I don't know if she said, I remember she said that she tried doing fulfillment on her own and now she'll just only do it through Critical Blast. And she's been someone who's been like, she had a tweet that said real creators don't have time for drama. Yeah, it's what most creators do,
Yeah.
Or if they do have problems with someone, they'll probably just tell it to close friends or behind the scenes, but you'll never hear about it in a million years. Because too much of that drives the conversation. And dude, as you know me, I call people out as much as I can. I can tell when someone hasn't read a book because they don't talk about them. Because like Shane Davis yesterday, he was like, well, my books are blah, 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 blah. And I was like, Shane, if we're being really honest here, no one talks about your books at all. For being completely honest here. I've only met like online, maybe 2 to 3 people that have read these books, honestly. Like we should be getting, as the creator should be working on getting people to read the products, right? Because even with Eric too. Eric, I'm in there as well. You might make all this money, but if people aren't reading the products, then it doesn't really matter because they won't be able to give that word of mouth to other people to tell you if it's good. Everyone's just focused on sales numbers, and I agree. Sales matter and money matters to pay the people involved. I fully agree with that. But the second most important thing is getting the people to read the books. Like when people talk about Ethan, no one mentions Cyber Frog because I'm gonna be completely honest here. It's probably not that good. They don't want to tell him that because they know he'll spur out on them. Let's be honest here, he's probably not that good. Honestly, most of the stuff's probably not that good. So the drama's all you have. That's the only narrative you got because you can't talk about the book's quality. The same thing with the Disney Plus MCU shows, the Star Wars shows. No one talks about what's actually in those shows for the most part because they're terrible. It's garbage. So they go off like, oh, this person's a racist. This person's a bigot. Yeah, that's easier to do than tell what's actually in the shows, right? Because what's in the shows is bad. Like,
well, it feels when they talk about it, it feels honestly, it feels artificial. I remember when people were talking about the Ahsoka show, and they brought up stuff that happened with, like, they brought out Anakin's dead old ass.
Oh, good old Hayden Christensen coming out from the dead to grace me with his presence. Good old.
And they had
Thank God he wasn't Shadow.
this is so amazing. This is so emotional. This is so all this other shit. But like if you do a a breakdown of the plot, if you actually look at the writing, it's none of that. It's all a smokescreen. So like people are either being fooled by their emotions,
Which is
or
probably the big thing.
it's probably the case
yeah.
for a lot of them. Or they are they're just falling into like hype, artificial hype. And I don't know. I don't think you can substitute like genuine joy in talking about something with like artificial hype. Like the book I see people talking about the most, not surprisingly, is Common America. Like if you talk to Common America fans, like they are fans. Like it's really obvious. Like
there's legit a Rippaverse Reddit out there if people want to look for it. And you know what's crazy? People, the common misconception is everyone agrees on this. Everyone agrees that they say it's good. No, I will show you a Rippaverse Reddit where people break down why they like certain titles over the other ones. They even ranked some had streams where they ranked them. One guy was like, this guy was tripping out. He was like, because I read Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1 by John Hickman. I bought the trade, but I remember I read. I was like, issue 1 is pretty solid. He was like, it's the worst book ever. I think like Yaira is better. I'm like, guys, I like the sauces, but Yaira was a something. Let's just say that,
right? Yeah.
It's Lord, he was saying the most asinine shit ever. But hey, it wasn't an echo chamber. Like people think that when you talk about like Rippaverse, it's an echo. I can promise you, the vocal ones, it might feel that way, but type in that Rippaverse Reddit, read half that shit, and you tell me it's an echo chamber. There are people that are viscerally disagreeing, but it's not like this antagonistic. It's not this like an antagonistic thing. It's like, okay, you disagree, cool. We had a conversation. Now we just move on. That's all it should be. It shouldn't be like, well, if you hate this person, now I just can't speak to you ever.
Right.
Yeah. Remember how we recently had that study where it was a Gen Z study where it said how likely are they able to have friendships with people they disagree with? And pretty high that they're not having it. So if you disagree with them politically, they're done. It shouldn't be that way. It really I don't know. And it shouldn't be that way for comic books. This is guys about characters on a piece of paper. That's even worse.
Yeah.
None of this has any real world implications on it. You didn't like my piece of paper character better than mine. Okay, cool. It's fucking so gay.
Yeah.
All this is gay.
Well, you're not wrong. Man. You're not wrong. No, not at all. And I mean, really, that was always kind of like the joy of being a nerd and talking about comics, was kind of arguing about them anyway. So,
Well, I'll ask you a few more things before we head out of here, which is the first thing, which is, do you have everything planned coming up in 2024, going into 2025 that you want to let the audience know about?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the sign up campaign. I want people to check out the comic, and I'm eager for feedback. So if you read it, let me know. Tweet at me or email me. It's Jared.
Hell yeah, I'll make sure to do that. Actually,
let me know in the comments if you like the trailer, if you like the comic. But it's all about that going into 2025. I want to get as many signups as I can, because I want to have the strongest start I possibly can for a campaign. I'm going to try to launch fall 2025 and kind of have everything lined up for then. I'm not in a rush, and I have a comic I can give out for free, so I'm going to give it out for free as long as I can, and hopefully get it a lot of people interested in it. And I would really like to do this, but it just kind of depends on how things shake out for 2025. I'd like to do a voice acted motion comic of this release to put on my channel as another way to kind of drive interest there, because the voice actors that voiced the characters in the trailer, I think they did a really, really good job, and I would love to hear them do all of the lines in the book while we have it kind of moving around with the book and everything. So I would love to do that in 2025, but the big goal is going to be to try to get everything ready and get a campaign going. And I already know for sure 100% I'm going to be launching on Fund My Comic, because I want to support Luke, and if I can get all of the money I need on Fund My Comic, I'm going to do just Fund My Comic. I don't want to leave money on the table, but I also want to really back something that I believe in, and I believe in Fund My Comic, and I think that people need to use Fund My Comic. I think we need to lift up that platform. So that's my plan for the channel, for the YouTube channel. I just started experimenting with this, and so far so good. I'm trying. I've had a goal this entire year where I've been trying to figure out how to bring attention to indie comics, and I was hoping that I would be able to use aspects of the reviews on Alpha Core and Yaira to transition that into other indie books. The reason is because obviously Rippaverse is very newsworthy. So you want to use newsworthiness and try and draw eyes on your channel, right? But I couldn't find a way to make that translate from, like, I had really good views on Alpha Core. I had really good views on the Yaira as far as like the reviews. That's great. But like, I'm not interested in, like, so far I haven't liked most of the Rippaverse books. I am not interested in just buying Rippaverse books to shit on them. Like, I think that is a waste of time. And I have no interest in reading stuff that I don't enjoy. I don't want Rippaverse to fail, but I just don't want to buy the book and just to do a negative review. So I did the reviews. I still wanted to review ISOM 3 and then do the trilogy, but like, I could not then, because I did a review of Biophile Kolga, which is a pretty good book. It's not perfect, but it's got some really good potential. And if you like Bloodborne and sort of like body horror and like magic and things like that, it's a pretty fascinating book. But I could not get very many views on that. And I was a little disappointed in the numbers just because I was hoping it would help their campaign more, and it really didn't do that much of a difference. So my experiment now is shorts, and I'm trying to do, so I did Screecher 1, and I did like it's kind of like a roast review, and I'm trying to kind
Yeah. Hopefully everything
it's just
works
making
out.
jokes and stuff, but at the same time I'm saying, hey, but here's, you can check out the campaign. I've got a link to the campaign, and so like, I'm trying that, and the whole goal for the channel is like, I want to find ways to get eyes on indie books, because I mean, I believe in it. I believe in helping my other writers and my other artists out, and to the extent that I can, I'm at the drawing board, every month, trying to figure out, okay, what's my attempt going to be this time. So now it's the shorts.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how that goes. So that's my plans for the end of the year and going into the next.
Awesome, man. It was great to have you back on again for the first time.
Great
Can't
to
wait
be
to
here,
do this
man.
again in a couple of months. We'll talk about some more stuff, but the indie comic scene on this level is just, I don't know. It's people
I know,
are
brother.
mentally deranged at this point.
Like, it for sure is.
Every day people are talking about bullshit, and some days I'm like, do I want to do it? And some days I'm like, you know what? My brain would be best settled not arguing with the idiots. Like, because if we're arguing just dumb shit like that, I really don't want to, because it's just no point. There's no point in arguing stuff that stupid, because it should just be self-explanatory to anybody with half a brain. But then again, it's not generally how that works, honestly.
That's
but
true.
I do wish you luck on the new comic book going forward. Definitely
that,
just got to start doing Frostcasts and start shitting on everybody. That's what you got to do. Moving forward, you got to do Frostcasts.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just like, everyone wants to be a pro wrestler in indie comics, right? I'll just kayfabe it and start a beef with everybody without them even knowing about it.
Oh,
just make
God,
something
man.
up.
Well, just want to say thank you guys thank you for Frost Comics for being here for the first time. Retconned again.
Right. First time. Number one appearance.
Yeah. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show, and we will see you guys later.